welcome everyone to the Broccoli Bros podcast. This is episode 1. I am Patrick. I'm joined by my 3 lovely co-hosts and best high school friends here. We have Baron of Beef Dip for Michael, and Dirk, or Nelson, formerly known, and then Skylar in the bottom right. So we are all coming at you here with this first episode. We're going to be talking just a little bit about our backgrounds, sort of how we got to where we are, what sort of unites us, why we're still in touch about 10 years down the road after finishing high school. And we'll have some hopefully interesting conversations for you guys coming off of that. So I'm going to start with the Baron himself and let him give a brief introduction, tell you who he is, why he is known as the Godfather. And
Okay. Yeah, my name is Michael. I grew up in Wisconsin, where I met Skylar, Nelson, and Patrick in elementary school, and later in high school we met Patrick. I'm a military officer, and I've been serving since 2017. And I recently just bought a house and had my first child in July. My son's name is Jack, and we're just learning how to get through life as new parents and homeowners. So it's a very exciting chapter in my life, and I'm happy we're doing this podcast because it's become increasingly more difficult for our friend group to kind of get together. We're all young professionals in our starting off in our careers. Patrick will get to it. He's a doctor. Skylar's a lawyer. Nelson's a pharmacist. And it's just, these are the people you grew up with and you have, you're closest to. And over time, it just becomes increasingly more difficult to get together and have these conversations. So I'm glad we're doing this.
Thank you, Michael. That was very helpful. And I will say that I think least likely out of the 4 of us to bear a child and be a parent, probably Michael, and he's doing it. So we'll lead into Skylar, though, our other parent in the group, and let him introduce himself.
What's up? My name is Skylar. You can call me Skylar.
Love it.
Yeah, I am a midlife crisis young attorney in Wisconsin. It's great. Love what I do. I will not be providing you legal advice, so please don't ask me for it. Thank you.
I love it. All right, Nelson, are you in a good spot?
Yeah.
He's going to stop playing this game for a second and then go conversation.
Yeah, no, stop playing State of Survival.
Nelson, focus.
I'm fine. Oh, so my name is Nelson. I'm from Wisconsin. I'm a pharmacist, and yeah, just kind of like connecting back with high school friends. Michael kind of stole my thunder. So
Nelson, why Dirk?
why Dirk? Oh, I don't know. Just kind of came to my mind.
We're just making stuff up now. Okay, that's
I like it. It's good. It suits you, honestly. And I'm Patrick. Yeah. So as Michael said, I am a resident physician or doctor, and now live in Michigan, so not Wisconsin. But I don't know why Nelson said reconnecting, because we've literally been talking. Our group connects via Snapchat like daily. That's our main avenue of communication, which I think is interesting. So this is just a more formal way for us to talk, because we usually are just Snapchatting each other. Questionable things day to day. So we were just going to talk a little bit about kind of high school, how much of like misfits we were, and sort of how we got to where we were. And I think Michael did a really good job of touching on how difficult it can be to stay in touch with people, especially when you're going into professional fields like we are, being a doctor, military officer, pharmacist, and lawyer. I mean, those are pretty intense tracks to get to those careers, and it can be really tough. And I would say, I think during the middle of that, we definitely didn't stay as connected as well. To Nelson's point, we've done a much better job lately. This is kind of our latest way to do that. So,
Great off. Yeah. Okay. Since we started with Nelson, let me see. Well, Nelson is 6 feet 7 inches tall. It is 6'7", right?
6'8".
Okay. Well, he grew an inch on us
with the shoes.
With the shoes. No, but remember, so our group was always very competitive, but Nelson was kind of like the leader when it came to academics. He was by far and away, I think, the most academically successful out of all of us in high school. He finished with a 4.0. And not to say that we weren't all academically successful. We had a very competitive high school, but Nelson was definitely somebody that we were chasing our 4 years. together. And he played basketball, he played volleyball. But I think Nelson was just very driven to be successful and get to that next level, whatever it was, as a high school student. And then I guess along the way we had some personal tragedies our junior year, and that really threw all of us through the roof. Some of us more than others.
Tragedies. Okay, that's one way to put it.
And I kind of changed the dynamic of our friendship for a while, which I think we can get into later. But Nelson always put Nelson always made time for his friends. That's the one thing. He wasn't the kind of guy that just locked himself away. We had to kind of poke and prod him to get him out of the library every once in a while to come hang out with us. But at the end of the day, he still came around and raised some hell with us.
Yeah.
I think it was a fair point too, just touching on we really did have a competitive high school. I didn't go to a particularly competitive undergrad, at least from an academic standpoint. So it's a little hard for me to compare. Obviously, law school is very competitive no matter where you go, but I just think back to what it took to get top 10% or something like that at our high school was pretty extraordinary in retrospect. I mean, I have a feeling very few high schools are like that, just based off what I saw when I actually got to undergrad, and I was like, oh, this is what it takes to do well. It actually, I think in some ways it was actually a little bit easier.
What's funny is I definitely know that Nelson and I, our first couple of years in college, we definitely didn't treat it the same way that we did when we were in high school. I think that's
definitely. I don't think you can forever. That's kind of the problem.
I like that. Yeah, I think that's a great point you bring up. I think you guys both applied yourselves a lot more in high school than I did. I'm notoriously lazy, and education always came easy to me, so I did the least bit possible to still succeed. I probably didn't even finish top 10% in our high school, to be honest.
I remember, so we weren't really friends sophomore year. In fact, I don't even know if I would say we were friends until into high school.
It was more so end of college, beginning or end of high school, beginning of college. Yeah.
In our high school sophomore year.
But
yeah, I did. Sophomore year is when I transferred over. Yep.
So one of my earliest memories of you, Patrick, was when you were like, no, I'm not going to go take the AP World History test, because we sat next to each other in Mrs. Cox AP History, and you're just like, no, I'm not going to go do that. Why would I do that? I have a soccer game. And I'm like, what the fuck? You're gonna skip this test that you've spent an entire year in this class that was it was a pretty shitty class. I'm not going to tone it down.
That was the worst class in all of high school.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, and it wasn't particularly rewarding work, and the teacher was not particularly good, and I could continue on and on, but I'm sure everyone watching this gets the gist. And after all of that, you were just like, no, I'm going to go play soccer, man. And I was just like, okay, well, that's one way of handling it.
I don't think I've heard of anyone with a good memory of that class. I never took it for that reason. Dude, I heard too many horror stories.
You know, the one thing I do remember from that was she'd come up, Miss Cox would come up with these weird ass assignments, just weird. And I remember she had this one where you had to make I forget what time period it was, but you had to write a diary as if you were somebody from a particular time period. And I think I wrote mine about Napoleon's invasion of Russia or something like that. But then, because she clearly didn't want to grade it, at the very end of it, there was this fill out your own grade sheet where she basically made you justify the grade she was going to give. And I was like, you know what? A. Screw it. I'm giving myself an A. It was a lot of work. I'm calling it. And she then literally gave everyone, for an actual letter grade, the grade they gave themselves.
And to really rub that in, Skylar, I do not recall said assignment, as I, similar to Nelson, recall very little or nothing about that class. I guarantee you I put probably 5 to 10% of the work into that, and I probably also gave myself an A and received an A. So,
yep, that's probably about how it went out. Oh God, what a terrible, terrible class.
Yeah. No, to touch on your point, Skylar, yeah, I agree. I feel like we didn't really connect a whole lot until like very end of high school. And Skylar left high school early because he was also very successful and driven for military college, correct?
Yeah.
Because he's also affiliated with the military to less extent as Michael, but has been doing that throughout as well. So thank you both for your service. Muchas gracias. Nelson and I have no affiliations. So yeah, I feel like more end of high school is when I kind of realized how neat of a guy Skylar was, and just a very, I would say, down to earth, doesn't get into the hype of like any of like the trends in high school, or like caring what other people think or doing things because it's like cool or anything. I feel like he was always very much his own guy and kind of on his own path and doing things because he wanted to, not because of how he thought other people would look at it and things. And I think that's something that's very hard to do in high school and even into young adulthood, and a lot of people struggle with. And I think that's part of why I respected him and definitely became friends with him. And we have remained close to this date because I feel like he, again, is just very down-to-earth dude and kind of says it how it is and doesn't really give a shit about what other people say or do, as long as he's kind of sticking to his own. And yeah, Skylar was like working already and just like he was always a little bit ahead of the curve, I think, which I think is still true to this date. Like he applies himself, writes like articles, and is just very driven. And I think, again, he's a good polar opposite, a good person for me to introduce because he's very driven, very motivated, applies himself to, I think, the maximum of his potential. And then I am like opposite end of the spectrum where I'm very gifted, as we all are, I think, but I do very much beneath my potential in terms of applying myself. So yeah, cool dude, highly recommend. That's all I got to say about that, I think. So.
Much love, Pat. I'd be curious to know, like, so, because you were kind of hanging out with Michael, and then I came back and we all started hanging out. But I don't know, how did you guys ever start? Because we kind of all had like separate friend groups and everything. So I'm not.
I have a good. So Nelson and Mike. So for background, for everyone watching and listening, I transferred high schools. I was in a Catholic high school, like private school, all through freshman year of high school, and had been with the same group of like 100 kids throughout that whole time. And it was a nice group of people. I did some stupid stuff and made a lot of like enemies out of people that have been good friends and good to me, unfortunately. So and some other things just kind of motivated me to transfer to our like public school with like 400 plus per class sophomore year, where I knew maybe like 5 kids coming in. So my sophomore year of high school when I did that was like pretty crappy. One of my our good friends, Davey, who also is in our like Snapchat group, but just as busy as a parent as well and a husband, couldn't make it today and might be with us for future episodes potentially. But he was really my main friend. I think I made that first year just through a class we had. And then Nelson also I met right away too, because he was in my homeroom. And I was just like, this dude's massive and he's really quirky. And we got along, I'd say, pretty well as well. I didn't meet Michael formally, I think, really until junior year because we didn't have any classes together. I heard about Michael.
I never saw you until we had a class together. No,
I think Michael and I both heard about each other, and I heard people refer to him by his last name. I won't say it, but that's how he was referred to in our school. And I heard so much shit about this kid, and he sounded like just the worst like person in terms of like behavior. Like I just heard he always got in trouble and just like he's such a controversial person. And then I meet him finally junior year. I was like, this dude's freaking awesome. Like, why do people not like it? I think people were just jealous of how people were jealous because he did well academically. He was able to get away with things that kids not doing well academically would have been, I think, punished for and struggled because of. And I think that's how a lot of the school system is, right? If you're doing well academically, that's most of what the school talks about, and they're willing to be a little more permissive with things.
But what was weird about our school is like if you watch like any of those high school movies, you would have, you would walk away thinking that the only way to be popular is to do well on a sports team and be handsome or something like that. So the combination of those two things. But what was different about our school is that people in general were very driven to be successful. Everybody wanted to be a doctor or something, you know, like I think we had a very high percentage of our graduating class that went to university or a trade school or something, you know. I don't remember too many burnouts off the top of my head. So it was like seen as like a good thing to be like a good student. So I think had I been in another school where sports were more important, I probably would have gotten in a lot more trouble. But like our sport was being good at school, so.
Let's talk about the time I ran for class president.
Oh my gosh, yes, please. This is wonderful.
Literally, you can only talk about it if you bring up your campaign poster.
Oh my god!
I wish I
this could open up multiple cans of worms here, Skylar. I like this.
Yeah.
Do you have a copy of it? So?
I wish I did. It was a great poster, and the people who drew dicks on it, you know what? I am in a better place in life than they are. So there you go. That's my victory.
It came down to Skylar and Hazel were the only people that were running for freshman class president. And Hazel was very popular, and actually I think Patrick was dating her for a while.
Were you dating her?
You know, I wouldn't even call it that. It was we were involved, but it was on and off, sort of informal.
Fair enough.
In any case, Skylar was, I guess we were all kind of Nelson and Skylar and I were all outsiders to some degree. We didn't roll with the main circle. Well, okay, I'll keep talking about the high school presidency because it was pretty funny. It was actually super stupid. It wasn't even funny. It was really stupid.
Of course, it was no. Yeah, it's the high school president election.
I think my biggest mistake was taking it seriously, and I do want to say I'm gonna throw some shade here. Nelson, what the fuck, dude? We'd been friends since preschool. Didn't vote.
Did I not vote? I don't think I did.
Did you vote in the last presidential election, Nelson?
Because I knew that you were going to lose by so much. Because of what? Because of it just.
I'm gonna need you to mute this traitor.
Some things are just the way it is. I was like, I could not in 100 years. I mean, that's literally how I felt at the time. Looking back on it now, yeah, I should have voted, but at the same time, like I didn't end up being wrong. You know.
For any viewers watching, who knows how many Nelsons there were in that situation? You know.
How many? Yeah, how many? You know, if they cheated or not, I don't know. Either way, you lost bad.
It wasn't that bad. That was like 60 to like 40.
Yeah, it was something like that, like 60-40.
One in a long line of things that should be based on merit coming down to popularity.
As someone who's doing quite well right now, it would have made no difference in my life whatsoever.
I mean, it didn't. You fucking lost, and here you are. So
yeah, it just
to put it bluntly, like I mean, yeah, right? Like
it would have done nothing.
It gutted Skylar. He was a mess for months, but
that part.
Other than the chronic woes worrying over this every other night, it hasn't affected him whatsoever.
No. Other than being bitter about it, like 12.
Till this day,
it's fine. You know, other than that.
What was your campaign poster? That was the best part.
Oh, it was the Obama Hope picture, but with my face on it. And then people.
If we can find this, do you think you have it anywhere or no?
Oh, probably not. Hold on, I'll text my mom. And be like, Mom,
if you can find this, I will edit it in after the fact. So if we found it, it'll be showing up for you guys now.
It should be the thumbnail.
I will make it the thumbnail if we are able to find this picture.
No, wait, Skylar's mom was an art teacher before she became a principal, middle school principal, and
sure.
And she drew Skylar's campaign poster. And it was very tastefully done, right? I mean, like she essentially photoshopped with her hand Skylar's face on top of Obama's, and he had the poster all over high school. And
there's got to be some copyright stuff there, huh? If this was like on a larger scale.
What is Obama gonna do? Is Obama gonna sue me? Because that would actually be kind of hysterical.
This is gonna come up when you're running for president in 20 years, Skylar, and it's gonna be controversial.
Conservative Skylar Croy used to be a fan of Barack Obama.
Yeah,
You see it now. But yeah, I don't know. That'd be hysterical if she actually has a copy of it. She doesn't know the full story though. She doesn't know that people drew dicks on her beautiful campaign.
we won't include the post hanging on wall edits that were done at the school.
when do we get to the falling out episode? The falling out of Nelson and Skylar.
I actually don't know a ton about this, admittedly. Like, it sounds vaguely
I don't know
familiar.
how much people would actually want to hear about that. That's pretty.
I banged my head.
Are saying that
It's a pretty normal, mild, dumb thing that happens in high school.
That's the point. We want to highlight that those things can happen to people and you can still be successful. Just because you had to go in with your best friend, you can still be giving drugs
Go
to
in with
people.
your best. Wow, you're taking something and you're making it a lot bigger though.
I don't even remember what this was. I hit my
Go
head very
in with
hard
your
junior
best
year of
friend.
high
Not
school.
even going in with anyone.
Okay. To back up, just so everyone keeps this in mind, when Pat says giving drugs to people, Nelson's a pharmacist, so it's
Yeah, I hope the context was.
the context is probably important there.
Thanks,
but-
Larry.
Giving drugs of what?
It's your job, Nelson,
You give drugs. You push drugs on
to
people.
patients.
Nelson was the
Yeah, no, I'm just
high school pharmacist. That's what we called him, and that's why he went into pharmacy.
a high school pharmacist.
No, I'd like to hear about this situation that Nelson's playing down though, because I actually don't recall. I'm sure I will as you guys get into it. Maybe this is the time to put it to rest once and for all.
Just Nelson retreats to his game. It gets too real.
It treats his game too. Yeah, I'd have to think of how
We
you
have
even
to have a
describe
villain
it.
of the show, and unfortunately, it has to be Nelson for now. But don't worry, one of us will do something to piss off our fan base, and then they'll be the villain for that week.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
villain for that. How am I a villain?
I mean, yeah, you
I
seem
how
like the
this-
natural antagonist, Nelson. I agree.
Yeah, become the
Nelson,
one
I think you just kind of need to own this one, buddy.
Can we have
what?
a vote? Can we have a vote real quick? Majority will who
What?
votes
All in
Nelson
favor of
for
Nelson being the villain? say
episode
aye.
1 antagonist? Okay. Did you not want to vote, Nelson, or were you just not interested in voting for yourself?
No, I'm not voting for myself. I'm not the.
You just don't vote, right? We've already addressed that. So,
Doesn't
okay.
vote for friends, doesn't vote for anybody.
Yeah.
You know, two guys both like a gal in high school. One guy dates him, the other one didn't, and then you move on because high school relationships end like that, I guess. Couldn't really say anything else, you know.
Okay,
Had a craziest mom.
for the prosecution here.
I've met some crazy moms. Yeah.
Nelson gave a very, like an outline, a pencil outline of what happened. We'll let
Pencil
Skylar
out.
shade it in, and then I'll do the colors.
I'll do
And
the
I'll
color.
I'll
It's
try
very,
and remember
very,
because I'm
very
blank.
simple. It's very simple. I like the girl. I told Nelson. I called dibs. Nelson then proceeded to date the girl. That's all there is to this story. It was very, very black and white.
All right,
Lines across.
there's the shading that I was looking for. So here's the color, because I have the being an outside party to this, like I got to see both sides. So Skylar liked this girl we met in sophomore chemistry, and he pined over her for the entire year, and then going into junior year, he had like befriended this girl and her best friend, and like in a very platonic way, but Skylar was trying to break out of the friend zone. And then we went as a group to a football game, which we never did, and Nelson came and joined us. And this girl already had a boyfriend, and he was pretty tall. His name was Brady. Not relevant, I just wanted to throw it out there. His name was Brady. And then But
I
he
think
was
that's
really
a key
tall.
part of
And
the story.
This girl was really petite, and this dude was really tall. So that's her thing. She likes tall people. And Skylar's a man of average height, but not of average mind. And and so I remember we were like standing as a group, and then Nelson showed up, and this girl turned to him and looked up at him, and her mouth, like you could almost see her mouth drop, like she was just in awe of his height. You know, it was her fetish. And at that moment, at that moment, I knew that she only had eyes for Nelson. And unfortunately, she never had any interest in Skylar other than being her friend. So, I think Skylar had mentioned, like, I knew because we had talked about it a lot, that Skylar liked this girl. I don't know how much Nelson knew. I knew Nelson knew that he liked her. I don't know if dibs were ever actually called. But then this girl started heavily pursuing Nelson. I wasn't there. I didn't see the conversation between the two, so I can't see how, who was more interested or who was the more interested party. But my impression was that the girl was pursuing Nelson, and I think this is the first time that a girl ever pursued Nelson. So I can't.
How are you going to say no to that?
I can't fault him for that. What would you have done in the same situation? It sucks for Skylar because he was his best friend, but it's really hard to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be. People
To be fair, I will agree that the first day of homeroom sophomore year, my first day at the new high school, when I similarly saw Nelson for the first time, my jaw dropped as well. You know, I was like, wow.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm just going to leave it at that.
And it was at that moment that Pat said, maybe I should try broccoli.
Maybe. Yeah.
You know, I enjoy a good, like, steamed head of broccoli. Just kind of, like, I don't boil it. I don't truly boil it. I put maybe half an inch of water, put the whole head in there, and then just let it simmer with the top on for maybe 15 minutes. Just falls apart, little seasoning salt, little salt and pepper. Great side for, like, if you're having some fish, some steak. It's wonderful.
Well, yeah, I think we all learned a lot on this first year episode.
We learned a lot.
I really do think that there was a lot of learning that went on, and I think that if you didn't learn much, maybe you need to re-listen and reflect. So, until next time, this has been Broccoli Bros.
Okay, we'll have to work on that part later.
Maybe we should hire somebody else. Maybe we should hire somebody to play the character of Nelson.
What the
We'll do a casting call.
Nelson, we're gonna hire Matt Damon. He's gonna play you, okay?
Hire Matt Damon. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll hire a man of average height to play you.
Yes.
You guys seen the Mario movie teasers? Like, Chris Pratt will be playing Mario. And people made memes based off that. People made memes based off it, like, for like random shit. So it'd be, and Nelson will be played by famous actor Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, yeah.
But like a skinny,
I'll post the meme here.
but like a skinny, frail Chris Pratt. Okay.
No, he'd cut weight for it for sure and put on some stilts.
I think, like I said earlier, we're gonna make an effort to do this as often as possible, more for the sake of our friendship as opposed to like anybody actually watching. So if you find some value out of this, let us know and ask any questions. If you wanna, I figured that people from high school are gonna probably reach out and ask questions. So
what? Yeah. No.
We'll field them as they come. And until next time, play on, player!
No, absolutely not.
What's that from?
Will be a maximum of a one-time ending. And on that note, much love, guys.